Okay, this video is on the character of Horatio, and Horatio is Hamlet's best friend. But before we start talking about Horatio, let's go into the tab up here on the Hamlet introduction, and let's just get a look at some of the questions that may have come up on Horatio in the past. We have a little table in there that lays out what questions have come up before, and you'll see in the characters thing, in the character section, Claudius was 2017, Gertrude Claudius of Fiji, there it is. Now, Horatio came up in 2011 and hasn't come up since then. So in 2011, what did they ask? Let's get a quick look at that. 2011. It basically simply asks, what is your opinion of Horatio? Explain your answer. So that's a great question to get, and if we could keep the questions as simple and as straightforward as that, we would be happy people, no? Right. So let's take a look at Horatio and discuss his character. CDZ in the wrong tab. Characters. Right, Horatio. Basic info. He's Hamlet's best friend. He's a student from the University of Wittenberg. Very prestigious university in Europe. It's where, of course, any of you who remember your junior cert history, it's where Martin Luther nailed his 95 Theses to the church door in Wittenberg. Wittenberg would have been considered the seat of European learning. It would have been considered like Harvard or Oxford or Cambridge universities are considered now. Wittenberg would have been considered very, very prestigious university back then. So we can kind of take it for granted that he is an intelligent person. People trust him and his judgment. What else is known about him? Not much. He's around the same age as Hamlet because he is his best friend, lifelong friend. He is Danish himself. But as regards his background, his family life, does he have kids, does he have a wife, we don't really know this, and we don't need to know it. We're just convinced from the start that he is a trustworthy and respected person. Now, how do we know that? Let's take a look at let's take a look at that trait first of all, where you can see the I'll move that over a little bit there. Okay, well, why is he trustworthy? Well, he's introduced as the man the castle's guards go to when they see the ghost. So they go to him. They trust his judgment and his reasoning powers. They call him a scholar. Okay, why would they have gone to him, do you think? Like, he has no real position of power within the castle. He's not a member of the royal family. He's simply Hamlet's friend. So, obviously his reputation is so great that the guards of the castle think of him when they see the ghost, and they need somebody who can be trusted, somebody who has intelligence. They seek him out to go, and if he can see the ghost, then they know they're not going mad. So that's an interesting little thing to remember about Horatio, that we are first introduced to him in that first scene. So he's one of the first characters we see, and he is the person that they go to check this ghost thing out. Hamlet himself trusts him. Now, Hamlet is the most paranoid character in the play. He thinks everybody's out to get him. Now, he's kind of right, but that's not the point. He trusts Horatio absolutely, never doubts him. He's the only character that Hamlet reveals his true feelings to. And that's important. The fact that he too sees the ghost is important, as it confirms the ghost's existence. When he sees it, he exclaims, "It harrows me with fear and wonder." You see, if Hamlet was the only character that sees the ghost, the audience would have a hard time believing whether the ghost is actually real or not, and it's not just some figment of Hamlet's troubled mind. The fact that Horatio sees it tells us that it must be true and it must be real. So Horatio kind of serves as the moral, trustworthy character in the play. The guy that sets the bar when it comes to honesty, integrity, trustworthiness, and respect. Because when you think about it, every other character in this play has got weaknesses. Like Claudius, we all know how sneaky he is. Polonius, very sneaky. Ophelia and Gertrude, as we talked about already, they're not very dependable, are they? They're not portrayed in a very good light. Hamlet himself and Laertes, they have their weaknesses, they have their flaws. Horatio does not. And he is the guy that everybody trusts and respects and looks up to. He is courageous and calm. He speaks to the ghost when no one else will. Speak, speak, I charge thee, speak. He even shouts at the ghost, basically. He demands that the ghost speaks. Now, you imagine if you see a ghost, okay, hopefully you never will, but let's imagine for a moment that some strange ghost floats towards you in your life. Are you going to stand there shouting at it and telling it that and demanding it to speak to you? I doubt it. I'd say you turn on your heels and run the other way, just like I would. But not Horatio, because he's courageous. He confronts the ghost again when it comes back, despite the risks. He tells the men, the guards, I'll cross it. I will demand, I will question it, I will cross it, cross-examine it. I'll cross it, though it blast me. So he puts his own life at risk to figure out what the hell is this ghost doing at the top of the castle. Why is it there? Now, why does he do this? Well, he loves Denmark, and he probably can guess that this ghost is not a good omen for Hamlet, his best friend. So he's kind of protective of Hamlet and protective of Denmark, and he wants to figure out what the hell is going on. Not many other characters would speak to the ghost in that way. You imagine the different cowardly characters we've already spoken about, and there's not many of them, none of them, in fact, would speak to it with such courage. He's loyal. He's extremely loyal. He never betrays Hamlet. Every other character in this play lets Hamlet down. Every one of them. From his mother, to Claudius, to Ophelia, to Laertes, to Polonius, to you name it, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, all of them. They all let him down, or are trying to get something out of him. Even King Hamlet, the ghost, you know, he has his own self-serving goals in mind. He wants Claudius killed. Horatio is the only character that doesn't ask anything of Hamlet. He's not in it for money. He's not in it for fame. He's a genuine friend of Hamlet, and he never betrays him. He offers to take his own life at the end, upon seeing that Hamlet is dying. Now, what kind of a friend would do that? He only agrees to stay alive so as to tell the honest truth about what happened. Now, that to me is... Now, I'm not suggesting that a friend would or should ever take their own life or anything like that. But I think Shakespeare put that in just to make sure that the audience or the reader is convinced that Horatio is really a loyal and, you know, honest friend. In many ways, he is the perfect good guy. He has almost no bad traits. In fact, he probably has none. Okay, but you could always argue one thing or another. He is the opposite to Claudius. He is the opposite to the dilly-dallying of Hamlet. He is the opposite to the rashness and hot-temperedness of Laertes. He is the opposite to the moral cowardice of Ophelia and Gertrude. He alone is the character in this play that sets the bar very high, sets the standard when it comes to kind of heroes. Now, of course, he's not the hero of the play, because at the end of the day, he doesn't have to make life or death decisions. Hamlet does, and some other characters. But he is the character, and you must say this in your answer. If we just nip back to that question again, what is your opinion of Horatio? You would have to say that your opinion is a positive one, and go into the details. Go into the 3 things that we just mentioned. What were they again? Go into his loyalty. Go into how courageous and calm he is. And talk about how he's so trustworthy and respected by everybody he meets.